All right, so again, I'm Dave Lackey. The Alternative Press is a network of 36 or 37 hyperlocal news sites under the one umbrella. We work on a franchise model so that each of us, as a publisher of our local news site, owns and operates it for the most part as we see fit. We do have some company-wide guidelines that the founder of the company wants us to abide by. And for those of us who are happy working under that model, it works well. I don't want to know how to build my own website. I don't want to know how to code pages. I don't want to know how to make the ad server do things it's supposed to do when it's supposed to do it. I just want to write stories, feed them into a for dummies style template, and go out and sell ads, and when I sell it, it appears on the site. How that happens in the background doesn't really interest me, and I'd rather spend my time covering the news and selling ads. So the Alternative Press is a good model, good fit for me. The network is growing. We've got 37, 38 sites now. Maybe by the end of this year, there'll be 100, mostly in New Jersey. First couple in Pennsylvania just opened up. And I got involved with it coming up through the ad sales side of the newspaper business. I'm not a journalist by trade. I've been learning by doing on that front. So my experience with news media has always been on the advertising sales side of the business. Coming into the hyperlocal game, it is not a huge revenue machine. Therefore, the leaner you can keep your staff, the more you'll take home. For me, that means I'm the only full-time person on my site. I don't write every story myself. I do have freelancers. But I do sell every ad myself, with the exception of the ads sold by other alternative press publishers who can sell into my sites as I can sell into theirs. So there's like a cross-pollination of revenue going on. If I've got a large restaurant in my town that wants to reach 4 other towns that surround us, I can sell them all of that. So that works out well as well, and there's a revenue sharing plan in place. So a lot of what I'm going to cover is kind of a direct ripoff of the training I received here at CJET when I first got into this business a little over a year ago. And we had the luxury of having one of the best sales trainers I've ever experienced, who unfortunately is not here today. Running a hyperlocal news site, it's not a public service. I mean, it needs to be a business if it's something that you want to do long term. And to be a business, you need to get out or get someone to get out and sell advertising, because that's how most of us support our business model. There are different ways to sell, different sales styles, which is what we're going to go over first. There are some salespeople who will be what we would call product or feature sellers. It's all about who you are, what your product is. This is my site. Look how great it is. Look at all the things we cover and how great we are for the town. You should advertise with us. You might get a few sales that way from people who are fans of your site in your town. They like what you're doing and they want to support what you're doing. But you're not going to get a ton of business that way. So it's probably not the primary approach you should take. Then there are some people in our hyperlocal news business who are price sellers. They're saying, oh, we're the new kid on the block. Our ads are cheaper than everybody else's. Look at this leaderboard I can sell you for X dollars. It's the least expensive ad in town you can buy. You should buy an ad on our site. Being cheap does not mean necessarily being good. So that's not an approach you should really take either. A lot of people, because this is hyperlocal in nature, are relationship sellers. Maybe you already know a lot of the merchants in town. And you can walk in there, they know who you are, and you're going to sell them an ad based on they like you, you like them, what a great person you are. And you've got this relationship, and you can talk about how the kids are doing in school and what's going on across town. And you can pick up some ads that way. But again, to be a sustainable business, doing it for the long haul and selling a lot of ads, that's not what you want to be either. So the approach that we recommend taking is to become a consultative seller. This is somebody who becomes a trusted advisor to the merchants and the advertisers, where you're talking to them about their business, what they need, where they're feeling pain, and then filling in how what you have can help them solve that problem, help them alleviate that pain that they're feeling in their business. If they are looking for more people to walk through the door and buy their widgets, you need to be able to show them how by advertising with you, it's going to reach X number of people, and of those, a certain percentage will come in here and look at your widgets. But you want to go beyond your hyperlocal site. You want to know all your competitors in the area. You know, what newspapers might they advertise in? What radio stations? Are there other websites already in your town that are doing something that would be considered competitive on an advertising front with you, even if it's not on a content side? Where are the many places they might be spending their money? And you need to put yourself in context of that. And in most cases, for a startup hyperlocal news site, it's not going to be, you should advertise with us instead of them, or instead of them, but we should be a part of your mix. You've got this much money you're going to spend on your marketing plan over the course of this year. You know, this much of it should be with us. And I can help you also decide maybe where else you want to be, because I'm your trusted advisor. I'm going to learn enough about your business that when you and I talk, it's not just about me and my site. It's about what's going on in your widget store and how can I help you be more successful in your town. Time management for me in my first year of the business was my biggest hurdle in becoming successful on the revenue side. That's probably a large function of not being a trained journalist. It takes me a lot longer to write a story than it probably does for most of you. If I go to the Board of Ed meeting and then sit down to write that story, I can't knock it out the way a professional journalist can do it. So it takes up more of my day to do that kind of thing. And I realized too many months into it that time management is probably the key to having a successful news site. You really need to kind of time block your week and think about, when do I like to do my writing? What are the meetings I have to cover? What events are going on in town that I need to cover from a journalism side that I can now block in? Well, here's 4 hours on Monday that I can go out and sell ads. Or maybe it's not go out. Maybe it's spend time on the phone setting up appointments to go out on Wednesday. But you need to actually have it on your calendar and keep that appointment, or it's not going to get done. It's so easy to get sucked into writing more stories and having more content and making your site better and better that you might just forget to sell ads for a week, or try to. And too many weeks of that go by, and you start polishing your resume to think about going back to the corporate world. And I think the goal of most of us in this room is to not ever do that again. At least it is for me. So blocking out your week and setting aside time to devote toward revenue-generating activities. All right, so what are those activities? How do you start? And what does it mean? What am I going to do during that 4 hours on a Tuesday that I've set aside for generating revenue? I don't know. No, I'm kidding. The first thing you want to do is choose your database. You need to have a place where you're going to be keeping all your leads, all your notes. It needs to be someplace organized where you can jump in and say, oh yeah, Futter's shoes. When did I talk to him last? What did he say to me? When am I supposed to go back and follow up with him? You can use an Excel spreadsheet. You can use a sophisticated database sales management tool. You can use an online customer relations management software program. You can do it any way, but just pick a way. I don't know which way is best. I really don't. I use an Excel spreadsheet. I'm supposed to be using Insightly, which is an online CRM tool that the Alternative Press Corporate has purchased us licenses for and told us that's what you ought to be using, that Insightly. It's a very powerful way to keep track of all your leads. But I haven't taken the time to learn how to use it yet. So I should set a time next week maybe, and they've got tutorials. If I could set aside a couple hours, I'd probably start using that. And another good hook you can use to get them to talk to you without them thinking immediately you're trying to sell them something is if your site contains a business directory of things in your town. I would recommend creating one, but only giving out for free bare bones information. Like maybe it's just the name and the address, maybe the phone number. But even that might be pushing it. But you're collecting data because you're populating a business directory on your website that you're all excited about. They'll give you the information. So now you've got all the businesses in your CRM. Now you're going to go to all the competitive media in the landscape of your town or towns. Which ones are spending money to advertise themselves? These are going to be your top prospects. They already understand that they need to market themselves to have successful businesses. So whether you're highlighting your spreadsheet or you're creating a list somehow of the people who are running in the local print paper, the people who are on the billboards in town, anybody you see who's out there spending money and seems to have a marketing plan of some kind, you want to highlight this list. These are your best prospects to go after at the start.
Those coupon things that come in the mail.
Oh, yeah, the clippers. I've had hit or miss success with the clippers because they are generally very cheap, and they are looking for direct response, which a hyperlocal news site does not often give them the level of response they are looking for, but it's great branding. They just don't see the benefit immediately in that. All right, so what Joe was just getting into was really my next point. You've got the business, you know who to talk to, you know where they're located, they're in your system, man, they're spending money over here. You call them up or you walk in the door, what's your first move? And it's exactly what Joe said. It's to start being that consultant. Learn about their business. Find out who their customer is, who are their best customers. How are they going about trying to reach those customers now? What have they done that's worked really well? What have they done that hasn't worked at all? If they could paint for you a picture of their perfect customer, who is that person? And you're not jumping right onto, oh, well, that's who reads my site. You're just collecting information. You're positioning yourself as someone who cares about their business, and you want to start looking at their business through the eyes of their customers once you understand who that person is. And if you were that customer, what would you want to know if you were looking to make a purchase, or if you're in the market for whatever it is they're selling? And then you can start thinking about how your site might be able to help that business owner. So your first prospecting call, we're going to call a needs analysis. That's all you want to have on your mind that first visit. Ask questions about what their business is, what do they sell, who do they sell to, what's important to them when they're going after potential customers, what is their unique selling proposition? There's a marketing oldie but goodie. What is it about their store or shop or service or medical practice that makes them different than who they consider their competitors to be? All the while looking for where are they feeling pain, what problems are they encountering in their business that you might be able to help solve. That's really the hook you're looking for. Typically, and I'm sure there are lots of different ways to back into it, but I will let them know, why I'm calling, and I'm from the Alternative Press of Millburn, and we're a local news website that we might be a good place for you to market your products or service, but I'm really not sure yet. It really depends who your customers are. I'd love to have a conversation with you, about your business and learn more about you before I, know if we're right for you or not. And typically, people love to talk about their businesses. If you get the business owner at a desk, they'll go on for hours if you let them. Especially, if they're getting the feeling that you have their best interest at heart and you really want to help them sell more of whatever it is they've got, which is what you want to do. Because if they don't sell more of it, they're not going to keep advertising with you. You need to be creating a solution that's going to benefit their business. Advertising is an investment to them, and if that investment doesn't pay off, they're not going to keep doing whatever it was they spent that money on. So, whenever we sell new accounts, we try to do everything we can to publicize what they've got going on. We'll put them on our Facebook page, on our Twitter feed. We'll talk them up at the Chamber of Commerce meeting. We'll try to do networking of, oh, you've got this going on, you should talk to her because her business and yours has some synergy. You should get to know this person. And again, that goes towards painting you as the local expert and the consultant that's going to help them make their business succeed. All right, so now we've got the needs analysis. I personally make it a two-step process. Some people try to do it all in one. I will thank them for giving me all this information and tell them that I want to think about what they've told me and set a follow-up appointment to come back with a proposal. Some salespeople will try to do it, one meeting, knock it out, get a contract, get a sale. And depending on your relationship with that person and how complex or simple their situation might be, sometimes you can do it. It's happened where it surprised me in that first meeting. They're like, yeah, let's start. Can we start this week? And I'll be like, yeah, I wasn't even going to ask you to buy anything. So I typically try to go back for a follow-up where I can take all their needs that I've analyzed and say, well, this is how the alternative press can help you. And here's what I would propose. This is what you should do on our site. This is what it would cost. Here's the duration of time it would last. When do you want to get started? And some people have said to me there's a risk in doing that where what if they don't give you that second appointment? And if they won't, then your answer was no. If you would have pressed at that first meeting, if they're not letting you in for a second meeting, they were going to say no. So I'm not too afraid of that happening. If they say no, they say no. And we always try to lock someone in for a year if we can. You offer the best rate if they'll agree to do it for a year. Some advertisers will not agree to do that up front. They want to test it. They want to see if they're going to get any kind of response. But we try to make the rates attractive enough if they will sign on for 12 months that it's hard for them to say no to.
How big are the discounts?
A 1-month price versus a 12-month price might be half price per month. So it's going to hurt you to buy that 1-month price when you see that it could have been so much cheaper. The alternative press sets the rate card price. I have the freedom to discount from that should I feel the need to. If I'm going to a one-location dry cleaner who has no budget and says to me, man, I would love to advertise on your site, but I'm sorry, I just can't afford it at those prices. If I want to discount it, I can. If I want to sell that guy, though, into the next town over, and that's not my site, I do not have the freedom to discount other publishers' sites. I can call them, which happens all the time. I'll get a call from the guy in Summit who's like, Dave, I've got this painting contractor. He wants Summit, he wants Milburn, he wants Livingston, but he's only going to pay $300 a month. Will you take it? And I can say yes or no. So we can discount, but I have to get the approval of the other publishers. And it's a judgment call sometimes. If you push somebody and say, I'm not going to give you that discount, sometimes they'll buy it at the regular price. They were just, trying to get the best price they can, which they should. And you have to decide whether you're going to make that discount real or not. So like Joe was saying, you want to come up with a plan that you think is going to fit their budget, getting as much out of them as you can get. You want to build in as many revenue opportunities in your site as you can. It's, maybe it's not just display ads and banners. Maybe you can sell them a sponsorship of your email blast. Maybe you can sell them an actual display ad on your e-newsletter if you have one. These are all things that we're working toward that we don't have yet, but God help me, we better have them soon. Because the more things you can sell, the more revenue you can drive to your site. As a startup, I've been doing it for 1 year. Traffic is not as high as it is going to be eventually. We've not maxed out our readership. And so the inventory comes into play in 2 ways. There's the number of ad spots you build onto your site, from a physical standpoint, and this is where Kenny can help steer you. But when someone's reading a page of your site, how many ads are staring them in the face? Is it 1? Is it 50? And then do you have a policy whereby you can stack the ads, and if people refresh, different ads are showing up? And maybe not every advertiser is appearing on every page? These are all decisions you have to make in the design of your site. There are some successful sites where if you go on a page, every advertiser that bought an ad is going to appear on every page because that's what they promised. There are others where there might only be 3 or 4 ads showing, and unbeknownst to the reader, they're stacked 5 deep. So that on this page, they're seeing these 5, and they go to read another story, oh, it's a different 5. And depending on the readership of your site and how many page views you're delivering over the course of a month, an advertiser might be pleased or displeased with the number of impressions that they are getting for their money. And you need to price your ads, kind of accordingly to, the more people are going to see it, the more expensive you can make it. It's like the New York Times charges more than the local weekly. A lot more people are going to see that ad. The websites are the same way. A lot more people are going to see BaristaNet than are going to see my Maplewood Alternative Press site. Maybe multiples, maybe 10 times more people. So her prices should be higher than mine. You've done your negotiation with, or you're bringing your proposal, is what I meant to say. And you're going to, again, sit down with them and present your best solution for how you're going to help their business, get their acceptance, sign them up, help them create the ad, whatever it takes to get them up and running, and then work like crazy to make sure their ad is successful behind the scenes, not just letting it run and never talking to them again. You want to keep an ongoing relationship with these advertisers. Once you've got somebody on the hook, You want to make them your best friend. You want to be in their shop all the time. You want to patronize their shop. You want to send your friends to their shop and tell them they saw it on your site. And again, creating the perception that you are their consultant, not just somebody who wants their money. So keep a follow-up relationship, very important. Some advertisers want to see their statistics. How many page views did I get this month? How many people clicked through and actually came to my website from yours? Some of them don't care. Some of them don't think to ask. And depending on the numbers, some of them you don't want to tell. But if you have a savvy advertiser, they're going to want to know, and you're going to tell them, and it's going to go a long way toward determining if they're going to continue to advertise with you. So we want to keep everybody happy. So we're going to build rapport. We're going to reinforce the sale. If you need to resell, you're going to resell. This is, how many R's did she give us? I didn't even, rapport, reinforce, resell, report their metrics, recalibrate their campaign if it's not working, and ask for a referral. Are they buddies with other business people in town? Oh, they're advertising with you? Who else might I talk to that might want to know about our site? Ask for a referral. Follow up with them all the time. And if you're going to spin the numbers because they want the numbers, couch it in terms of not just how many people saw it and how many people clicked on it, but you change the language such that their message was presented 44,000 times to the consumers in this town. And I'm stumbling over this part of it, but even follow-up conversations need to be salesy in some way, where you're not just giving them dry numbers and saying, 12 people clicked on your ad this month. That doesn't sound very good. But if they picked up 12 new customers, that's a big, big difference. If they can attribute sales to the ad they ran with you, they'll sign on for 2 years after that because they've already made their money back.